In Jungian psychology, the shadow represents the unconscious parts of our personality that we reject or ignore. When these aspects surface, they often bring up difficult and subtle ethical issues. Beyond the shadow, there are additional inner figures that can emerge in our unconscious minds. These figures are personifications or representations of deeper aspects of our psyche. Jung identified two specific inner figures, the anima and the animus. The anima is the female aspect of a man's unconscious, personifying his inner feminine qualities. Conversely, the animus is the male aspect of a woman's unconscious, representing her inner masculine qualities. When these figures, anima in men, animus in women, appear, they often reveal new and different problems or conflicts that the person needs to address. These figures tend to emerge behind the shadow, meaning they are deeper and perhaps more complex than the shadow itself. The anima in the context of Jungian psychology represents a profound aspect of a man's psyche. It embodies all the inherent feminine qualities within him that may not always be overtly expressed or acknowledged. These qualities include subtle emotional nuances like vague feelings and moods that defy clear articulation, as well as intuitive insights or prophetic hunches that seem to arise from a deeper knowing beyond rational understanding. Additionally, the anima signifies a man's receptiveness to the irrational or intuitive aspects of life, contrasting with the often logical and analytical tendencies associated with masculinity. It reflects his capacity for personal love, not just in romantic relationships, but also in a broader sense of empathy and compassion towards others. Furthermore, the anima is linked to a man's connection with nature, embodying a sensitivity and appreciation for the natural world. Importantly, the anima also symbolizes a man's relationship with his unconscious, which encompass aspects of his psyche that are typically hidden from conscious awareness. This relationship with the unconscious is crucial for self-awareness and personal growth, as it allows a man to delve into the depths of his psyche, confront inner conflicts, and integrate disparate parts of himself. The reference to priestesses, such as the Greek Sibyl, underscores the historical and cultural significance of feminine wisdom and intuition in accessing deeper truths and making spiritual connections. Just as these priestesses were revered for their ability to commune with divine and interpret mystical forces, the anima serves as a conduit for a man to tap into his own inner wisdom and spiritual insight. Thus, the anima represents not only an aspect of individual psychology, but also a broader archetype that transcends time and culture, reflecting the timeless quest for inner balance and spiritual enlightenment. A vivid illustration of how the anima manifests as an inner figure in a man's psyche is observed among the medicine men and prophets known as shamans, among the Eskimo and other Arctic tribes. Some of these individuals even adopt outward expressions of femininity, such as wearing women's clothing or depicting breasts on their garments. These outward symbols serve as a means to embody their inner feminine aspect, the aspect that facilitates their connection with the ghost land, which corresponds to what we understand as the unconscious. In this cultural context, the shaman's ability to transcend the boundaries of ordinary consciousness and commune with the spirit world is intimately tied to their embracing of the anima within themselves. By embracing and integrating their feminine side, they gain access to deeper realms of intuition, insight, and spiritual guidance. This illustrates the archetypal function of the anima as a bridge to the unconscious and a source of transcendent wisdom. One reported case recounts the intuition of a young man by an older shaman, during which the young man was buried in a snow hole. He entered a state of dreaminess and exhaustion, eventually falling into a coma. In this altered state, he suddenly encountered a woman emitting light. She provided him with instructions and knowledge that he needed, and later acted as his protective spirit, assisting him in practicing his challenging profession by connecting him to the powers of the beyond. This experience exemplifies the anima as the personification of a man's unconscious. The woman who appeared to the young man symbolized his inner feminine aspect, representing intuitive wisdom, guidance, and connection to the deeper realms of existence. Through this encounter, the young man gained access to profound insights and spiritual assistance, highlighting the transformative potential of integrating the anima into one's psyche. Additionally, this narrative underscores the role of the anima as a mediator between the conscious ego and the unconscious, facilitating spiritual growth, healing, and empowerment. It illustrates how encounters with the anima can lead to profound experiences of self-discovery and connection to the numinous aspects of life, enriching the individual's understanding of themselves and their place in the world. The anima, in its unique expression with an individual, is heavily influenced by the relationship a man has with his mother. The early and foundational relationship shapes the animus's characteristics and the way it manifests in his personality. If a man perceives his mother's influence as negative, this often leads to the anima presenting itself through a series of emotional and psychological challenges. These challenges can include irritable and depressed moods, a pervasive sense of uncertainty and insecurity, and an overall touchiness or hypersensitivity to situations and interactions. These negative manifestations of the anima can significantly impact a man's emotional well-being and his interactions with others. He may find himself struggling with self-doubt, feeling easily overwhelmed by life's demands, and reacting defensively to perceived slights or criticisms. This can create a cycle of negativity that is difficult to break, reinforcing the sense that his anima is a source of weakness or vulnerability. However, there is a potential for positive transformation. If a man actively works to understand and address the negative impacts of his mother's influence, he can begin to integrate these challenging aspects of the anima in a constructive way. This process often involves acknowledging and processing the pain or difficulties associated with his early relationship with his mother. As he navigates this journey, the very challenges that once seemed to undermine his confidence can become sources of resilience. By confronting and integrating these difficult aspects of the anima, a man can develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and emotional maturity. This growth not only helps him to heal from past wounds, but also reinforces his masculinity, making him more robust and capable of facing life's challenges with confidence and grace. Within the psyche of a man who is deeply affected by a negative mother animus figure, there exists a persistent and destructive inner voice. This voice, shaped by negative maternal influences, perpetuates themes of inadequacy and despair, constantly whispering or shouting messages like, "I am nothing. Nothing makes any sense. With others, it's different, but for me, I enjoy nothing." This internal dialogue, dominated by these anima moods, casts a long, dark shadow over his emotional landscape. These anima-induced moods create a pervasive sense of dullness and hopelessness. The man feels an oppressive weight on his spirit, making it difficult to find joy or meaning in life. Everyday activities that might bring pleasure to others seem pointless or unfulfilling to him. He is haunted by a fear of illness, impotence, or accidents, which further saps his energy and enthusiasm for life. This constant fear and the associated anxiety contribute to a general sense of malaise, where life feels both sad and oppressive. The impact of these negative anima moods can be profound and far-reaching. They distort his perception of reality, making the world appear bleak and uninviting. This can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy where his expectations of failure and disappointment are met, reinforcing his belief in his own inadequacy. The lack of enjoyment and the persistent sense of futility can make it incredibly challenging for him to engage with others or pursue meaningful goals. In extreme cases, these dark moods can become overwhelming, pushing him towards thoughts of suicide. Here, the anima assumes a particularly malevolent role, transforming into a death demon. This manifestation of the anima intensifies his feelings of despair, whispering that the only escape from his suffering is through death. The death demon aspect of the anima represents the ultimate surrender to these negative internal forces, as it tempts him to end his life in a desperate bid to escape the relentless pain and hopelessness. In French culture, this archetype is commonly referred to as femme fatale, a term used to describe a mysterious and alluring woman who leads men into perilous situations or ruin. This figure embodies qualities of allure, charm, and danger, often associated with themes of seduction and betrayal. Similarly, in Greek mythology, the sirens are depicted as enchanting creatures whose mesmerizing songs lure sailors to their doom, symbolizing the destructive allure of temptation and illusion. In German folklore, the Lorelei is a mythical siren who is said to lure sailors to their deaths with her beautiful singing, residing atop a rock along the Rhine River. The anima symbolizes an unreal dream of love, happiness, and maternal warmth. Her nest, a dream that lures men away from reality. The hunter is drowned because he ran after a wishful fantasy that could not be fulfilled. This statement encapsulates the seductive and illusory nature of the anima archetype. It suggests that the anima represents an idealized fantasy of love and fulfillment, often associated with maternal care and emotional nourishment. However, this idealized image is ultimately unattainable and disconnected from reality. Men who pursue this fantasy find themselves metaphorically drowned or consumed by the depths of their own desires and illusions. The pursuit of this dream leads them away from the grounded realities of life, resulting in disappointment, disillusionment, and a sense of loss. The negative anima within a man can become evident through his poisonous and effeminate remarks, which carry a venomous quality, distorting truths by which he devalues everything. These remarks have a destructive impact, tarnishing relationships and spreading negativity. Across cultures, legends depict a character known as a poison damsel, especially in the Orient. This figure, often portrayed as strikingly beautiful, conceals weapons of poison within her body, using them to fatally harm her partners, often on their first night together. This portrayal symbolizes how the negative anima can embody a callous and reckless nature, mirroring eerie aspects of the natural world. In European folklore, similar themes persist in the form of beliefs surrounding witches, reflecting enduring cultural fears and anxieties about the feminine and its potential for harm. When a man has a positive relationship with his mother, it can shape his anima in various ways, although not always positively. In some cases, this upbringing might lead him to adopt behaviors traditionally associated with femininity or to rely excessively on women, which could hinder his ability to navigate life's difficulties independently. This kind of anima might prompt men to become overly sentimental or touchy, reminiscent of stereotypes like old maids or overly sensitive characters from fairy tales, like the princess who could feel a pea under multiple mattresses. In certain stories, we see a subtler yet potentially harmful portrayal of the negative anima. Here, the princess sets challenges or riddles for potential suitors. If they fail, they face dire consequences, while the princess emerges victorious. This narrative reflects a scenario where the anima engages men in an intellectual game with fatal consequences, diverting their attention from real-life decisions. Consequently, they become so immersed in thought and reflection that they lose spontaneity and the ability to engage openly with the world around them. The anima, the feminine aspect within a man's psyche, often manifests in the form of erotic fantasies. Men may find themselves drawn to indulging in these fantasies through various activities such as watching films, attending striptease shows, or daydreaming over pornographic material. This tendency reflects a basic and instinctual aspect of the anima, which is driven by primal desires and impulses. This manifestation of the anima becomes problematic when it turns into a compulsive behavior. This often occurs when a man fails to develop healthy emotional connections and maintains an immature attitude towards life. Instead of engaging in fulfilling relationships and meaningful interactions, he becomes fixated on satisfying immediate desires through erotic fantasies. This compulsive behavior can hinder his personal growth and prevent him from forming genuine connections with others. The anima, like the shadow, can be projected onto a specific woman, where her qualities are perceived as embodying those of the anima. When a man encounters such a woman, the presence of his anima can trigger an intense and sudden feeling of love, leading him to believe that she is his soulmate from the moment he lays eyes on her. This deep connection may give him a sense that he has known her intimately for an eternity. His infatuation with her can be so overpowering that it appears irrational to onlookers. Women who possess a fairy-like aura have a unique ability to draw out anima projections from men. These women often exhibit a combination of mystery, elusiveness, and an almost ethereal presence that captivates men's imaginations. Because of their enigmatic nature, Men find it easy to project their anima onto them, attributing an array of desirable traits that may or may not actually be present. This mysterious quality serves as a blank canvas onto which men can project their deepest fantasies and desires. The lack of clear, defined characteristics in these fairy-like women allows men to fill in the gaps with their own ideals and dreams. They become the embodiment of whatever the man is seeking or lacking in his own psyche, whether it be tenderness, wisdom, sensuality, or inspiration. The enchanting vagueness of these women makes them perfect vessels for such projections. Men are able to weave intricate narratives around them, creating elaborate stories and fantasies that go far beyond the reality of these women actually are. This process can intensify their infatuation as the woman becomes a symbol of their man's inner world and his unconscious desires. As these projections deepen, the man may find himself increasingly enthralled by the woman, believing her to possess almost magical qualities. She becomes an idealized figure, a muse who represents a path to greater self-understanding and fulfillment. However, this can also lead to a disconnect from reality, as the man's perception of the woman becomes more about his own inner projections than about her true nature. When a man directs his anima onto someone else, often through a sudden and intense romantic involvement, it can profoundly unsettle his marriage, creating what's commonly referred to as a love triangle. This situation typically brings out a host of challenges and complications. To address this effectively, it's essential to acknowledge the anima as an internal force within the man's psyche. The unconscious drives such entanglements with the underlying aim of prompting the man's personal growth and maturation. By navigating through these complex emotions and integrating more of his unconscious self into his everyday life, the man can embark on a journey towards greater wholeness. This process fosters a deeper understanding of himself and his relationships, allowing him to approach them with increased insight and harmony. Ultimately, recognizing and embracing the anima as an integral part of his being enables the man to achieve a more balanced and fulfilling existence. The anima within a man's psyche serves multifaceted positive functions. Firstly, it guides his instincts and preferences, aiding him in selecting a compatible life partner. Secondly, it acts as a conduit for accessing hidden truths and insights that might elude his rational mind, drawing upon the wisdom of his unconscious. Thirdly, the anima assists in aligning his thoughts with his inner values, fostering deeper self-awareness and understanding. Metaphorically, the anima can be likened to tuning an inner radio to a frequency that filters out distractions, allowing the man to hear the voice of higher wisdom. In this role, it acts as a mediator between his inner world and his sense of self, guiding him on a journey of personal growth and spiritual development. As Jung elucidated, the core of the psyche, often referred to as the self, typically manifests in a four-fold structure. This concept is foundational in Jungian psychology and represents the totality of the unconscious and conscious mind. The number 4 holds significant symbolic value in this context, denoting completeness and balance. This connection to the number 4 also extends to the anima, which Jung observed as evolving through 4 distinct stages of development. Each stage represents a deeper level of psychological integration and maturity within the individual. The initial stage of the anima's development is symbolized by the figure of Eve. In this stage, the anima is closely tied to primal instincts and biological relationships. Eve represents the basic fundamental aspect of femininity and life-giving forces. This stage is characterized by a focus on the most elemental and instinctual connections between men and women, such as sexuality, procreation, and the raw, unfiltered aspects of human nature. At this level, the anima is largely driven by instinctual needs and desires. It is the phase where a man's interaction with his anima is heavily influenced by his biological urges and the immediate, tangible aspects of life. The relationship dynamics at this stage are often straightforward and governed by natural instincts and basic emotional responses. The second stage of the anima's development is exemplified by the figure of Faust's Helen, a character in Goethe's Faust, who symbolizes an elevation from primal instincts to more refined and complex emotional experiences. In this stage, the anima embodies the romantic and aesthetic dimensions of the psyche, interwoven with aspects of sexuality. Unlike the first stage, which is dominated by basic biological and instinctual drives, the second stage introduces a more sophisticated and cultured expression of femininity. Helen represents an idealized form of beauty and romantic love that transcends mere physical attraction. She embodies a fusion of sensuality with artistic and intellectual appreciation, indicating a movement towards a deeper, more meaningful engagement with the anima. In this stage, the man's relationship with his anima becomes enriched by romantic ideals and the pursuit of beauty in its various forms. This can manifest in a heightened sensitivity to art, music, literature, and other aesthetic experiences that evoke strong emotional responses. The anima, as represented by Helen, inspires a sense of yearning for a higher, more sublime form of love that goes beyond mere physical satisfaction. Sexuality in this context is not just about physical gratification, but also imbued with a sense of reverence and admiration for the beloved's beauty and charm. It is a stage where passion and romance are celebrated, and the individual's interaction with the anima are marked by a sense of wonder and enchantment. The third stage of the anima's development is symbolized by the figure of the Virgin Mary, representing a significant elevation from the romantic and aesthetic dimensions of the previous stage to a love characterized by spiritual devotion. This stage marks a profound transformation in how the anima manifests within the psyche, moving from the personal and sensual to the sacred and the transcendent. In this phase, the anima embodies qualities of purity, compassion, and divine love. The Virgin Mary as an archetype represents an ideal of maternal care and unconditional love that transcends earthly desires. She is a symbol of nurturing and protection, embodying a love that is selfless and oriented towards the well-being of others. This stage of the anima's development reflects a shift from seeking personal gratification to embracing a higher, more altruistic form of love. The presence of the Virgin Mary in this stage indicates a deepening of the individual's emotional and spiritual life. Love in this context is no longer about personal fulfillment or romantic ideals, but about a profound connection with the divine and the expression of one's highest moral and ethical values. The individual's relationship with the anima at this stage is characterized by a sense of reverence and a commitment to spiritual principles. This stage also involves a significant internalization of the anima. Instead of projecting idealized qualities onto external figures, the individual begins to integrate these qualities within themselves. The love represented by the Virgin Mary is about cultivating inner virtues such as compassion, humility, and a sense of universal connectedness. It is a stage where the individual seeks to embody these higher ideals in their own life and actions. The fourth and final stage of the anima's development is symbolized by Sophia, representing a level of wisdom that transcends even the purest and holiest aspects of human consciousness. In this stage, the anima embodies the highest form of spiritual insight, profound understanding, and divine wisdom. It represents the culmination of the individuation process, where the individual achieves a state of profound enlightenment and self-realization. Reaching this level of wisdom is exceptionally rare in modern psychic development. It requires a deep and profound journey into the depths of the psyche, where one confronts and integrates the entirety of their unconscious. It involves a complete dissolution of the ego and a profound transformation of consciousness, leading to a state of higher awareness and enlightenment. The figure of Sophia represents the ultimate realization of the anima archetype. It is a state where the individual transcends the limitations of the personal self and attains a profound sense of unity with the universe. This wisdom encompasses both worldly knowledge and spiritual enlightenment, encompassing a deep understanding of the nature of reality and the interconnectedness of all things. The reference to the Mona Lisa as the closest representation of such a wise anima highlights the enigmatic and mysterious nature of this stage. Like the Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile, Sophia embodies a deep and profound wisdom that is beyond words or explanation. It is a state of being that defies conventional understanding and can only be glimpsed through intuition and insight. Individuals who embody the wisdom of Sophia are rare and often regarded as sages or spiritual masters. They possess a deep sense of inner peace, clarity, and serenity, and their presence radiates a profound sense of wisdom and compassion. They serve as beacons of light and guidance for others on the spiritual path, offering profound insights and teachings that inspire transformation and enlightenment.